Hey everybody, Paddy here. Thank you so much for watching and listening to TFN, which of course stands for the FN News. Now today, Mark Manson is author of Self-Help Bible, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I will award him honorary Great Kiwi status when I talk to him very soon. Our good Kiwi is the local Te Atatu tyre mechanic that people say is so lovely, he'd give you his right arm, except he doesn't have one. This week's brainy Kiwi is solving a massive problem by selling breadcrumbs and muffins made out of food from the chuck-out pile of other food factories. And in this American election week, I'm honestly going to tell you how good our MMP electoral system is, and I dare you to disagree with me. I also say goodnight Kiwi to a wee girl who has left the world a much better place than when she came into it. And I meet the West Auckland barber whose Kiwi dream will bring a tear to your eye. Righto, let's get into it. Mark Manson is the author of a book that was a smash global bestseller. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F-U-C-K. It's a philosophy that really rings true for me, so I have always been keen to talk to him. Well, he's going to be in New Zealand next week, so I was lucky enough to interview him. He joins me now as today's honorary Great Kiwi. Mark, thank you so much for joining me. You are, of course, the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F-U-C-K, and everything is effed. You may not know this, but I'm the creator of a meme called This is the Effin' News, which went globally viral. I'm also the author of a book called This is the Effin' News, and you're now on TFN, which stands for the Effin' News. So
Nice.
I have a feeling this is a collab made in F-bomb heaven.
Sounds like I came to the right place.
And on that, on the F-bomb, I mean, you've obviously used it in the title of a couple of books. It's not a bad word anymore in your view.
No. I mean, I never thought it was that bad. But I mean, I like profanity because it's a way to jolt people into attention around something, and I think in the world of personal development and self-help, that's particularly important at times.
Yeah, and you've obviously, in terms of that world, helped influence millions of people with their mindset. This show that you've come on is all about positivity. It's about positive news and things that can make our lives better. But I understand when it comes to positivity, you've got some quite nuanced views. Tell me a bit more about that.
I so I'm often critical of kind of conventional uh, think positive advice in my industry, only because I think uh, that it often encourages people to be a little bit delusional or detached from reality. I think we should try to see reality as clearly as possible. And the nature of that is that there's going to be positive and negative in pretty much everything. And sometimes it's going to be way more positive, and that's great. You enjoy it, and also be aware of the risks and setbacks. Uh, but then in those times where it's quite negative, it's important to develop the skill to try to see the positive and see the potential growth or good outcomes that can come out of something. So to me, it's you need both. You need both yin and yang.
So, for Kiwis or people in New Zealand right now who are listening or watching to this or coming to see your show, I'll sort of lay it out for you. It's been a very difficult economy. Lots of people have lost their jobs. It's coming on the back of COVID. There's burnout out there. There's all these sorts of things that are happening to people's lives, and they're looking for something else. Many of them are. What is one thing that you can give to Kiwis who are out there to try and improve this kind of life, to improve their lives?
Well, I generally, I mean, the most broad and simple piece of advice that I can give in this day and age is that our tendency is to look for more, is to try to find more, add more to our lives, be more. Um, and I think that in this day and age, in the social media world, we should be we should instead focus on less. Find the one or two things that you really care about and go all in on them. Find the handful of people that you really care about and who care about you and really invest in those relationships and try to be very mindful of all the distractions and the noise and um, you know just like try to shut that out if you can, if it's not helping you. Um, I think that is essentially the challenge of our generation.
And part of that challenge is, of course, around the news. There are many people now who find the news a hard watch or a hard lesson or hard to do. Maybe they even avoid it completely, Mark, because of what it is doing to their mindset as part of this great challenge that you are talking about. So, how can they deal with this, or how can a journalist like myself deal with this sort of avalanche of
Yeah.
negative news?
Well, it's unfortunate because, the news, the nature of our psychology is that we tend to pay more attention to negative events or negative news than positive. That's very much just wired into us. And so, uh, unfortunately, the news media is just it's 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 delivering the information that people are paying attention to. And so the incentive on journalists is to always find, the ugliest, scariest, most terrifying headline and put that front and center because that's what works. That's what sells newspapers and, gets people to listen to radio shows. Um, so I think as consumers, we just have to A, be really aware of that. And then B, I think it's the truth is that most news, most of the time, does not really have a direct impact on each individual. Um, and it's easy to forget that. It's easy to sit here and hear all these terrible things that are happening in other parts of the world, or maybe a scandal or going on in government, or some funds that were stolen by somebody. And it's like, yes, those are bad things, but I try to ask people, like, really, what is the net effect on your day-to-day life? Because chances are it's extremely close to zero. And if it's that close to zero, and the news is bumming you out, yeah, maybe you should cut some of it out of your life. Maybe you should listen less frequently, or have a higher bar for the things that you're going to pay attention to.
So, what's your take on this concept of a certain guy called Paddy, who is now pumping out positive news, and something called the effing news that gives people the opposite to that?
Well, I think it's good because it ultimately it's important because if you really look at data and like long-term historical trends, which people are very bad at looking at, the world is getting better by most metrics in most places. Like, sure, there are pockets of the world or certain periods of time that things are getting worse, but the overall trajectory over, say, the last 100 years is vastly positive. And I think it's really important to be reminded of that frequently. You said that New Zealand's going through, economic hard times. Obviously, that's really bad. Obviously, COVID was really bad. But if you think about, I don't know, say the problems that people were dealing with um, in the 20th century, like go back 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, would you really trade places with those people? My guess is if you think hard about that, you absolutely wouldn't. So uh, it's easy to get kind of, you know, idealistic and narrowly focus on all the small things going wrong today, but the vast, and if you expand your perspective broad enough, it's impossible to ignore that generally things are getting better.
Now, then, another quick collab and similarity between the two of us is that I don't drink alcohol anymore. I'm pretty well known in New Zealand for the fact that I don't actually. And I hear, Mark, that you're the same.
Mm.
How's it going for you?
It's amazing. Honestly, I gave up drinking about 2.5 years ago. Initially, just trying to lose weight, and the change in my day-to-day life was so profound. I was a pretty heavy drinker for most of my adulthood, and the change of my day-to-day life was so profound and so unexpected that I just kept extending it and extending it. And at this point, I haven't had a drink in over 2 years, and it's great. I mean, I'm 40. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I'm the most productive I've ever been in my life. I'm incredibly happy. Uh, I have more energy. I mean, like, I'm doing this tour through Australia and New Zealand, and 5 years ago, this would have killed me. Like, it it would knock me on my back for weeks afterward. And I feel good. Like I'm going strong. So I attribute a huge percentage of that to giving up alcohol.
Yeah, well, I can say that I agree with every single effing word of that. Now, Mark, also, we actually call this segment Great Kiwi, where we interview people who are great Kiwis. Now, obviously, you are not a Kiwi, but that means you are our first ever honorary Great Kiwi to be on here.
Hey, very honored. Hey, I did live in Auckland for about 6 months, so I've got that going.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you did while you were
yeah.
making the film, so that's awesome. And we always end this with a quick piece of advice for other Kiwis on how to live their lives, on how to improve their lives
Mhm.
before you go. What advice do you have for Kiwis on how to improve their lives?
Whatever you're stressing about, whatever you're worried about, ask yourself if this is gonna matter, if this is still gonna matter 10 years from now, uh, or when you're 80 years old. And chances are it's not. So if it's not, then just let it go.
All right, that is great advice for Kiwis. Thank you for giving a F about coming on the Effin' News, Mark Manson.
It's my pleasure.
If you want to see Mark live, he's very wise and he's very funny, and he's doing a show called The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F live. It's at the Aotea Centre in Auckland next week, and you can get tickets from Ticketmaster. And while we're talking about live shows, I want to let you know that I've written a book. It's a memoir, and I'm touring the country with a live version of this show. If you live in a town, I'm probably coming to see you this November and December. I want to bring some yarn, some laughs, and some positivity, and I want to meet you. Find out where I'll be, get some mates, and come to the show. Just go to paddygower.co.nz for tickets. Now it is time for How Good. And how good is MMP? Yep, I'm just going to put it out there. I love our MMP electoral system. I don't care if MMP has given us Winston Peters. I still love it. I think we should all be giving a bit more love to old mate mixed member proportional today, because look at what was going down in the US of A. If that doesn't want to make you give the glad eye to MMP, nothing will. First of all, imagine it. In the USA, there is literally no point in voting unless you want to vote red or blue. No point. Imagine that here. And then if you happen to be a Republican red voter in a safe Democratic blue seat, there's no real point in voting. That red vote ain't going to count. And vice versa, if you are blue in a safe red state, no point voting. Red is going to win. So it all comes down to a few voters in a few states where it is close. And it is still only blue and red. That means millions and millions and millions of people voting over there without their vote having any real meaning. That's the thing about MMP. That's why I love it, because wherever you are, whoever you are voting for, your party vote actually counts. It goes to the makeup of the parliament. The percentage of votes a party gets nationwide dictates the percentage of the New Zealand parliament that it gets. It gives us multiple parties, it gives us choice. Your vote has meaning. Sure, MMP is not perfect. I repeat, it gives us Winston. But I am just saying, hey, look at the states and let's take the positives here. We should give MMP much more love than we do, because compared to America, how good is MMP right now? Actually, compared to America, MMP is looking damn sexy right now. Okay, now it's time for today's Good Kiwi. Okay, Good Kiwi is where you tell me about someone who is making a big difference in their community, wherever they are. Now, one community reached out about a guy in their area who has only one arm. But because he's such a good Kiwi, an absolute GK, as I would say, the business he runs has 5.0 stars on Google reviews. 5.0 stars, 5 stars, not 4.9, 5. Think about how many businesses get a solid 5 out there when you look at Google reviews. Now, this may be the only business in the world that has that. I can't prove it, but maybe it is. So I had to go and meet Danny, the one-armed tire man.
And then you just push that down.
Push it down? Can you still leave it out?
Go, Patrick, man. You can do it. Let's go. Yeah.
Whoa.
Hold that there.
Whoa, 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 whoa. How is that?
Boom. No.
Oh, shit.
Foot off there. Look at that.
Watch your fingers.
Nah, no, right? I can't afford to lose a finger, no. One arm and 4 fingers, that would be a problem, wouldn't it?
I don't want to be the one responsible for that, mate. That would be bad.
Well, that's right, because I try changing my feet then.
Yeah. And how many tyres do you reckon you've changed in your life?
Good question.
You've been doing it for 8 years, 4,000 tyres a year.
Yeah.
32,000 tyres.
You know.
Give or take.
Give or take.
So how long have you known Danny for?
Oh, since I was at school.
And how would you describe him?
The only man that can change a tire with one arm. He's a good man. He's a good man. As you can see, just done my tire and let me go. Come back and sort it out another day.
That's pretty awesome. Help people if you can.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for you, isn't it? Helping people.
Yeah. Everyone needs a good break now and then. Money and time is really hard at the moment in the world. That's how I feel.
Here's one person said, Danny sorted me out with tyres many years ago. He also came to change a tyre for me on the motorway when I got a puncture. He's got a big heart. Here's another one. He makes you feel like you're his best mate. Nothing's too much trouble and he's totally trustworthy. Look at all these comments, mate, of people around here that love you.
It's nice, man. It's wonderful. Much respect to them and appreciate their comments, you know.
The one thing that stands out about you, and I hope you don't mind me saying, is you've only got one arm.
It's a blessing. I was on a different track, you know, drinking that, had an accident, saved.
And that could have cost you your life.
That's when I realised that God's always taking care of you, you know. He's got something for you. It was another channel of thought to think, okay, I've got to do this differently. It's always, okay, this is a challenge. Okay, how do I face it? How do I do it? How do I go around about it? You know, I think everybody's got it in them to help each other, and when we do that, we'll change.
This one? Oh, hang on, I've got to do something here today, mate. Ready?
Go, guys.
Angel Tyres is at 747 Te Atatu Road in Auckland. Go see Danny, you won't regret it. And if you know of a good Kiwi you want to dob in who is making a real difference to the community, email me, paddy@tfn.co.nz. All right, as usual, I'm not going to give too much away about our brainy Kiwi this week, apart from to tell you that she's got a new and increasingly successful solution to one of the world's biggest problems, and that you can buy her products at your local grocery shop. I'd like you to meet Diane, whose job title is the head of getting things done. I love that job title, at a company called Rescued. Now, as always, Diane, you've got 3 minutes to answer my 4 brainy Kiwi questions. I don't know why I didn't make it 4 questions in 4 minutes or 3 questions, but anyway, it's 3 and 4. I don't know why. So what problem does your product solve?
Well, Paddy, as you mentioned, food waste. So we are giving a solution to stop perfectly edible food from being wasted. So whether that's to landfill, compost or animal feeds, we want it to stay in the food system.
Food waste, how big is this issue?
It's pretty big and super interesting. I don't think in New Zealand we really know. You can read data from anything from $1.2 billion up to $3.2 billion a year it's costing us. We just know it's a massive problem.
It's huge. It's huge. All right, Diane, question 2. How are you solving this massive problem?
We are solving it through through innovation. So we are taking all of the surplus food from supermarkets and manufacturers and growers. We're stopping the deterioration. So we're preserving it just through techniques that have been done for centuries: dehydrating, cooking, freezing, turning it into new products and ingredients that then go back into the food system as they were always intended. And
what sort of waste? This is a bit of a bonus question. What sort of waste do you grab and what do you turn it into? I'm sort of looking at some baked goods here.
Yeah, so look, we started with bread because it is one of the most wasted products in New Zealand and in the world. And so with our innovation, we then turn that back into what we've called rescued bread flour. And that's taking perfectly in-date surplus bread from supermarkets and manufacturers, dehydrating and milling it, and then that gives it a new shelf life of 2 years, and then we can actually just replace traditional flour. So that's kind of our innovation. But beyond bread, it's anything, any perfectly edible food that doesn't have anywhere else to go, we'll take it and give it a new life.
So that's the way you're solving this big
Yep.
problem. What other things are you using?
So we do a lot of fruit and vegetables. So bananas, carrots, apples, basically tomatoes. So just from one hothouse, one grower in Auckland, we've now rescued 62 tonnes of tomatoes.
62 tonnes. All right. So how far have you got with this idea of rescuing food and reusing it?
So we've just achieved our 100 tonnes as at the end of September. So we've only been going just almost 3 years. So we're pretty proud of that. And so we've grown from 30 customers and a team of 10 now. So we're starting to make a really, really big impact.
And how big can this get? How big can this get rescued?
Yeah, really, really big. So we, our whole business model is based on collaboration. So we work with manufacturers to basically just swap out ingredients and keep the food in the food system. So the bread flour, we've done a collaboration with Remarkable Tortillas. They just swapped out bread flour.
Nice.
Done. It can actually be that simple. So there is R&D involved, but when you do it at small ratios, it's minimal impact on price and on manufacturing, but a massive positive impact on the environment.
Sure, and it can go global, I take it.
Oh, yes. Well, we recently won a challenge in Australia to do what we're doing there.
I'm opening the box
yes,
here.
Please.
So what have we got here? I want to try this one. What have you rescued in this chocolate thingy?
Yeah, so they are all made with the baking mixes that basically we've swapped out traditional flour for rescued bread flour.
Rescued bread.
Yep, all rescued bread.
Tastes good. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Diane. And if any of you know a brainy Kiwi who is solving either the big problems or the small problems of the world, email me, paddy@tfn.co.nz. This tastes good. What is it?
That is the chocolate raspberry.
Chocolate raspberry from rescued bread. Awesome. Thank you, Diane.
You're welcome.
Now, it really breaks my heart to talk about this week's Kiwi who has passed away. You may know of Mila Davis, the young 13-year-old and her family who fought a shitty form of cancer and battled a pretty shitty health system for treatment. Now, I know Mila's family, a good Kiwi family. She and her family had to spend tens of thousands of dollars getting treatment overseas, much of it funded by the kindness of others, as so often cancer is these days, thanks to the likes of Give a Little. In the final months of her life, she went to the States for CAR T cell therapy that her mother, Kristen, said would, quote, hopefully put an end to this cruel cancer battle. But after going through the first stages of cell procurement, was then told that she was no longer eligible for it. Last month, she went to Germany at a cell immunotherapy clinic, but on the way home, she got a bit worse. On the flight to Melbourne, she wasn't able to breathe and was put on oxygen. After spending time in Melbourne's Royal Children's Hospital, scans showed how far and how badly the cancer had spread. Her uncle paid for a medical emergency plane to fly them home to Queenstown. It cost them $80,000. Her family said, unfortunately, this wasn't covered, but it was important to get her home to her happy place and our family. Now, once she was at home, she spent her final days with her family. Mila's mum, Kristen, said, and I quote her again, we are now enjoying every moment with our beautiful girl. Her ability to move and speak is limited, so we are enjoying watching Netflix and just telling her stories about her life and making sure she shows how loved she is and how amazing and proud of her we are. My heart is broken to the point I don't know it will ever recover, but I'm so lucky I've had the privilege of being her mum. Now we have to find a positive out of this, and the only possible positive is that we actually learn a lesson and start to improve our health system, that we bring things like CAR T cell treatment here, that we improve the fact that New Zealand is simply not a good postcode to get cancer in. And if you want to contribute positively, you could help the family with their Give a Little by going to Give a Little and searching Mila, M-E-I-L-A, or you could give to the Malagan Institute, who are bringing CAR T to New Zealand so that future girls like Mila can get that treatment more easily. donate.malagan.org.nz. And now it's time to change things up a bit with today's Kiwi Dream. And now it is time for today's Kiwi Dream. As you know, I'm out hunting down Kiwis and finding out their dreams, and This Kiwi I hunted down in a barber shop.
Hey guys, I'm Paddy Gower. How's it going? Yeah. Hey, we were asking people what their Kiwi dream is, what they're dreaming like this. Have you got a dream, man?
No, but just content. Yeah, content creator.
Are you a content creator? Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 What about you, man? Do you have dreams?
Yep.
What's your Kiwi dream?
Just to retire my parents like everyone else, you ready? Open up a few barbershops myself. Yeah, that's the plan about.
What, you want to retire your parents?
Yeah, definitely.
What? So they can stop working? They've been working out.
Yeah, hard. Yeah.
No one cares.
What's the meal? No, that's really nice.
That is, yeah.
And yeah, like, what sort of, well, it's not everyone's dream. Yeah, but it's yours.
Mine.
Have they done a lot for you or something?
Definitely, yeah. You meet the prince of mine today.
So you want to get there by owning your own store?
Yeah, it's all there for, but yeah, it takes time. That's the plan.
And what's your mum and dad say?
Christina and George.
Hard workers.
Yeah, like always, man.
Yeah.
Man, something like that. It's just heard it.
Yeah, that's nice, bro. Good one. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
And this he shouted the drink.
It's fine.
He's a very handsome man.
Here's eight.
Yeah, he is.
Well, that is TFN for another week. Now, don't forget I'm on tour all over New Zealand in November and December. Get tickets and come see me live. I'm going to bring some positivity to an issue in your town. I'm going to celebrate a good Kiwi on stage and spin some ripping yarns. Get tickets at www.paddygower.co.nz. See you next week.